everyone. Whether you are familiar with Scrum, Agile, project management, it's fine. So the burn down chart can be useful for any project where you have a measurable progress over time. So as simple as that, right? The COVID cases, simple thing. How, if you draw a trend over time, right, you will come to know at what level or how many cases would be there. So yeah, is a forecaster tool as well you can use, but you can use for multiple purpose. Let me show you some of them. So, so we are focusing on burn down chart, not burn down the chart. Okay, so I'm Rahul Shah, Agile coach and trainer and passionate about helping Scrum Masters. I decided to put something on a burn down and burn up chart. Like Neha, you are asking, right, whether you are doing or this is the one time off? No. Me, Vijay, and many other people are regularly doing this webinar on Saturdays.
Okay.
So I was just thinking, let me put how many webinars I facilitated month over month in last 9 months. So 2 ways, right? I initially decided, okay, I will be doing actually 24 twice a month seminar. I have put here 18, say 18. So in 1 year time frame, I will be completing or doing 18 webinars. That's good. So I have an ideal line, a green line, and then the orange line shows that what I am doing. Yeah, it is going pretty well. In between, didn't do, and then again on track. And then if I want to put it into a burn up chart, it will show the cumulative data that how I am burning up, how I am reaching the goal of 18. So it is representing the same data, but there is a subtle difference as well. We will talk about. We have a slide specifically for this one. But by putting this slide, I wanted to highlight that, okay, the burn down charts can be used for actually anything. Something like if I have decided to read n number of pages or some books or a period of 1 month, I said, okay, yeah, I will be reading around, I have to read around 250 pages in 1 month time or 500 pages. So I will create an ideal line and can track progress against that. And then I will come to know whether I am on track or not, when this will be done. Now, see, reading the chart, something like if you can look at it, I didn't do anything for a particular month, right? So I have to interpret that what happened. And there are n number of possibilities. One of them might be I'm infected or my family members are infected with COVID and then I didn't get time. But that is one possibility. That's not the case, let me tell you. But yeah, there are other possibilities then. But that's the way you interpret the chart, right? And then let's talk more when it comes. So again, going back to our main topic, you want to cover what is burn down chart, different types of burn down chart. We already covered one, burn down and burn up chart, and when to use what and how to interpret the burn down chart. Let's see, I have many exercises for all of you. I have created some charts and then we'll be showing you, and then you can say that what can be done. Okay, let's move to the next one. One of the metrics, right? Or we can say it's not a matrix, actually, it's a visual representation of measurable progress over time. It's a graphical representation. If you pick a burn down chart, then it will talk about work left versus time. Now you might have used the remaining hours as a on the left axis, right? What is the work remaining in hours? But if you look at here, right, it can be anything. Work left, that means if you are measuring with respect to story points, then the burn down chart, we will say burn down story points burn down chart, that will show the story points remaining with respect to time. Sometimes that is also very important. Just looking at the remaining hours will not serve the purpose. More in the exercise, I think I should cover this one fast so we can move to exercise. Comparing the plan work again, the team progression, right? What was planned in the green line, and then how the team is doing, or here I'm the only person in the team, so how I'm doing with respect to time. That's what it shows. And then when it will be done, yeah, you will have some idea, right? At least, okay, it shows that you are on track and should be completed in the remaining 3 months. And here also, if I do a trend line, probably, yeah, it looks good. So that data it gives, right? On by just looking at the chart, interpreting or reading between the lines is a different thing, will come. So why this one is required? So monitoring the project scope creep, in the sense that, okay, I have decided that I will do 18 webinars. But say somebody, my manager says no. Or say Vijay, as a friendly note, he says, okay, you should do 24. That's not a project scope creep, but I'm just saying, I'm just taking on an example that, okay, from 18, the number changes to 24. Then the burn down chart should be able to tell me. I have to interpret whatever, but that data it will tell me. So it will alert me, right? Because something is not wrong. Though we are working on it, but the chart is not going down. The remaining work, the remaining story points remain as it is. So something needs to be done. So the burn down chart also will be like release burn down also will be there, or sprint burn down also can be there, right? There are different charts. You want to know as well, this will tell me that whether the team had committed some story points, forecasted some story points, are they on track? That it will tell me, right? And obviously for project management, whether this will be done or we are way off track, the project timeline and other stuff, or what will happen based on some decisions we take and other stuff, alignment with respect to plan and then the actual. And then sometimes management say, okay, yeah, complete this one in next month. Look at the chart and then we will, whether this is a reality or just wishful thinking, which cannot be achieved. Those data, the burn down chart will be there. But yeah, what we have to remember, we have to remember the manifesto. Burn down chart is important, no doubt about it. But don't forget individuals and interactions. You might see that the data is flat, it's not moving. But then, unless you interact with people, unless you talk to team, unless you work with the team, unless you work with the individuals rather than just generating the charts from the tool or Excel, you won't know the real results. At the same time, you have to focus on the working software. One of the agile principles also says, right? Working software is the primary measure of progress. So the chart doesn't give me whether something is working or not, right? This chart, if I have number of hours, I'm not saying whether something is done or not. So I have to keep that in mind, that if chart is burn down chart or burn down hours burn down chart doesn't provide me that data, then I have to figure it out, that how do I make sure that even the burn down chart shows me whether the software is working or not. I cannot sit on a laptop and then get the data, obviously, right? I will be doing a sprint review or attending sprint review, demo and other stuff, and then see what is the actual progress, correct? Those who are not familiar with the creating burn down chart, very quickly I would like to highlight. X-axis, it can be anything with respect to time, right? So if it is sprint, you will put days. So 2 weeks, you will put 10 days or 15 days. For 3 weeks time period, you can put months as well, right? We are saying not a sprint burn down. It can be a release burn down as well. So the time can be anything. You can have sprint, you can have days, you can have month. You want to do something, you want to measure something with respect to, like performance testing you are doing, and then you want to identify different spikes and other stuff, and then you want to put in the time some hours or minutes. That's also fine, right? And on the y-axis, you will put measurable unit. So not just remaining hours, but it can be story points. It can be number of issues as well. Number of stories, right? That also can be created. So there is a specific purpose. We'll cover, or if I don't cover, you please remind me. But there is a specific purpose for using story points and not remaining hours, or number of stories as well that can be put. So you estimate and put that into some tool. Excel also will work. Obviously, this should be automated. We don't want to spend too much time on this one. I do remember when I was in one of the organization, I was handling 3 teams. And then my manager was an agile coach. He said, no, we need to generate this chart and we want to have an information radiators. And I was handling 3 teams, but there were other 9 teams as well, total 10 to 12 teams as well. And they said, no, we should have the burn down chart for all the 12 teams. And then we used to do it manually because the tool was not capable of generating it. And I did for a couple of days and I said, that's not going to work. I we had to do it in Excel anyway. So I said, okay, there is something called macro. Used macro, I did automate a couple of clicks and the charts will be generated. So yeah, you shouldn't be spending too much time on this one, but at the same time, you should have it handy in the sense that even your daily Scrum, right? The Scrum daily stand-up can start with the burn down chart. If people understand, okay, this is where we are going. Looking at this chart, probably you say, yeah, we are going fine. Though it is not very ideal, fine. We should be able to meet our goals. And then you have to put track a daily progress, right? Tracking, right? You have to do it. Then only the red line will get generated on this one. So this is a very straightforward probably. So let's talk about the different types of charts. So what we covered, why the burn down chart, it can be used for by anyone, wherever something measurable progress is there with respect to time, we can use it. So let's look at the different types of chart. One is the burn down chart, another one is the burn up chart. What is the difference? If you look at it, the orange line, it's just reversed here. What's the big deal in this one? Almost same, right? Not much change. Yeah, so here we are showing, in the first one here, we are showing that what is remaining. So we have reached here. So when you put something, so if you look at, if there are some numbers, right? I'm putting number of webinars, but whatever, hours or something is there, you know that, okay, now we have how many days remaining? We have 4 days remaining, okay? And this much of work is remaining. Will we be able to complete this one? That's what it is showing. And then this one is showing that how much work we already completed and what is remaining. Yeah, still the remaining part here as well. So what is big difference and which one to use? So it depends. If see, one simple tip I would tell you, don't make the burn down chart very complicated. How do you know whether it's complicated or not? If your stakeholders or team members are not able to understand, then remove, keep it simple. Like we will have some complex chart as well. But if the management is not interested, at least you keep it for you and show them what they are interested in this one. However, let's look at about the couple of differences. Why the burn down chart and burn up chart. If you look at it here, we know that the number of webinars, or I will put the number of stories or whatever, is 18. Just put it, consider it as a number for whatever that you want to measure that aspect. Here also it is 18. Now this is my scope, right? The burn up chart will have scope, and then it's not a, see, you see there is a data point for each of these. So let's say I'm starting with a project where I have to complete around 180 story points, right? Now we are saying in the agile world that responding to change. So project manager or product owner can add some user stories, right? So instead of 180, it might go to 200. So if it goes to 200, right, I will know then when it has increased to 200. Or if it goes down to 170, I will know. So I will know that if you look at this data, right, it is not making any progress. So now the scope is, understand this very carefully, the scope is constant. That means I have not worked, or the team has not worked anything on this one. But if the scope is increased here by couple of, say 180, we can say that if it is 200, then even I worked for 20 story points, 180 to 200, and I'm saying here I worked, the team worked on the 20 story points here, then also it will not reflect anything. It will say the remaining hours still is, or remaining story points are still the same, no change. But if there are changes in the scope, the burn up chart will highlight it very clearly, because we have this line available, and this will show what is the progress being made. That is the most important difference between these two. And yeah, when you use the release burn down or release burn up chart, release chart, the burn up chart will certainly give very good data. The point which I was highlighting right now, just let's focus on just couple of aspects. This one is the ideal line. Let's not talk about, this is the remaining one, the green line, right? So if you look at the remaining line, there is no change after sprint one. But the team has worked on something, right? But there is no change. It is showing in the burn down. Why? Because the scope also increased by 25. The 25 story points were there, which team completed, but the scope also increased by that number. So it is not showing any data. So if we are just showing this green line and the ideal line, we will see, or we will read that, okay, team has not worked anything in the first sprint or second sprint. While if you look at the burn up chart, it will show, yeah, team has worked on something, but at the same time, the scope also has increased. Are you getting me? Any questions on this one? This is the main difference between the burn up chart and burn down. The burn down chart, the green line, doesn't it doesn't show any progress being made, while the burn up chart shows the progress, because we are using the first top line as a scope and then this one. So even in the burn down chart, if you add this scope line, then it will serve the purpose. But normally it is not there. We have an ideal line. So this is one of the, so this is another type of the chart you can use.
A
So it
question.
has multiple data.
I have a question. So
Yeah, Neha.
this release chart is not taken from Jira, right? I mean, I think you have manually created it.
Yeah, I have manually created this one. Jira, I don't think they are providing this chart, this kind of chart.
I think they do provide release chart, but I don't think so they will provide this much of clarity on it.
Yeah, true. That is true. They can't provide this much clarity.
So the one of the another benefit of this chart is you can create in Excel, because we are not tracking this every day. We are tracking every sprint only. So yeah, this is a good chart. Even you can add one line here, which will show the average velocity. I have a couple of, I think the next slide will cover that as well, that uh, I can read this chart. We will have some data, but it still doesn't answer the question that whether I will be, when this will be done. So we'll talk about this one. But Neha and Hemant, yeah, I think this one is not there in the Jira, not with this clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rahul, Satish here. One question. So, how does this burn down chart would be only useful at a release level, or how does, I mean, how it can be used at a sprint level? Like,
Burn down chart?
burn up. Sorry.
So burn up chart, see in between as well, right? Like you will have to put here, see the most important thing in the burn up chart is what is your original scope and changes in the scope. Here we are not showing any changes in the scope. See, I'm going, the team, let's consider team only. Team is doing good, right? Whether some stories are removed because those are not applicable now, that's why team is doing good, I don't know. But if here, if there is a good progression and I see that, okay, the 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 scope has been reduced, then I will come to know. Similar way, if the scope has increased, right, you will see something like this. The team is not making progress. You see, in this one, the team is not making progress. So maybe on the 7th day or whatever, in mid-day, mid-sprint, something got added. Though the team burned some hours, but there was some extra work which added some hours. And then we are not able to identify. But here we will be able to identify that what is the change which has been done. So even you can use the Burndown chart for sprint level as well. That certainly would be helpful, because
Yeah.
we
Thanks.
want to identify what is the change in scope, right? We want to identify that.
Yeah, thanks, Raghu. Got it.
Rahul, may I have a question, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so like we talked about a scope creep in Burndown chart, in the actual trend, it does not show, right, the effect of, let's say, increase in scope. Yeah, so will this be reflected in ideal trend by any chance? I'm talking about Burndown chart.
Yeah, so no, the Burndown chart, two things. The ideal trend will not change. It will remain as it is. At the end, we may say that Jira or any tool will say, okay, you had committed 18, but you delivered. So see, there are two things. We are showing here this chart if we are considering for hours burned down. What is the hours remaining? I have a chart in the next slides which talks about story points burned down. And story points, it will clearly highlight. Even in the task burn down, right? What will happen, you know, right? That if I add some task, so if hours are there, there will be a spike. Right now, I'm not showing. If I'm adding and removing, then there won't be spike. But if I'm adding, Jira certainly will show, because we cannot do everything at one time, right? There will be a seconds difference. So what Jira will show is it's going up and then going down. So we added something and removed. So that will be visible there as well. So from that perspective, Jira certainly will show what is happening. But this one story, that's why the story points burn down chart is very important. Let me come to that as well, and then we'll discuss more. So this is a release chart, certainly useful. But however, I'm here right now or here, but I don't know when it will be done. So look at this chart. Now this is simplified, right? I have just kept the Burnup chart. This is the scope, and this is how my team is doing. Now, we cannot have certainty, right? Guarantee that this will happen. So I have a best case scenario, worst case scenario, and most probable, most likely scenarios. So there are different ways to generate these three lines. Those needs to be done manually. Jira certainly will show you in the epic burndown chart that if you are going at this velocity, that what will be actually in the release burndown as well, epic burndown and release burndown, then when your epic will be completed and when you will be able to do a release. However, probably it won't show the best case and worst case scenario. So what are the different ways? You getting this chart? This is the middle one, the red line is the, if we follow the velocity, or if we follow the whatever we completed in the last sprint, right? We might have completed more and less and other stuff. That certainly would be there. So what about see, my target, there are two targets are there. This one also very good, very, I would say, important point to look after when you are going for when this will be done. So there are two ways. If my goal is to release with whatever 245 story points, then at sprint 6, I will tell management that it will take, we will be able to release between sprint 8 and sprint 11, most likely sprint 9. Right? Now, very difficult to tell management about this one, right? But then they will say, well, we will say, oh yeah, we can say, okay, we are very much confident. We are 80% confident that we will be able to achieve by sprint 9. So how do you generate these different charts? One is the longer one, right? Which is taking the longer. You pick up that top 3 worst sprint and then take the velocity and plot this chart. So your average velocity may be 20. So based on the 20 velocity, but some of the sprint you might have 15, 17. So pick up the 3 worst sprint and then consider that velocity and then draw this forecast. The best one, obviously, you can pick up your own velocity or the last one. So these two, if you are really doing good, then certainly you will get this chart, green chart. But the average velocity, whichever you are following, then you will get this chart. So this one is the worst velocity, this one is the average velocity, and this one is maybe the very good velocity, and then you can do this one. Now there are, if you search on the net as well, there are risk multipliers. Alan Shore has written risk multiplier, but that one I think that will work only in very ideal scenarios. Probably that won't work where we have liberty to tell from the sprint one and every sprint that, okay, we have around minus 50 to 100%, 200% scope change. That is the variation we can do. That we probably won't be able to tell our management. But once you get this line, then we will be able to answer that when this will be done. This is another chart. This is also difficult to read. So again, it goes back to how comfortable management and stakeholders are there, because everybody says, hey, how it can go beyond 0. But we certainly would like to highlight the team is doing some work, but if scope is added, then we will put it below 0. That means the scope is added. If we do not put it below 0, if this we shift to on a upper side, what will happen is the burn down will not change. It will say, yeah, we are at the same lane. So this is again to highlight the scope change. They are doing it. But yeah, you can search on the release burn down bar chart and then it will show up that what can be done. But again, it should be simple. That is one of the aspects. Now the third part, interpreting the burn down chart. Yeah, done to almost done, everything will change, right? That's what. Okay. Now, I want you to participate as well. I know that reading the chart and interpreting it's completely different. And then I certainly would encourage you to speak up and share what you think about this one as well. So if this is the chart, which is here is hours remaining, and this is time, ideal versus actual. What do you think? So what do you think when I ask with respect to the sprint goal, whether they will be able to achieve their sprint goal or not? What do you think?
Yes, I think they would be able to. So it looks like in the sprint, the initial few days they were they were not able to complete as expected. Then they moved a bit fast. You can see that the red line came down the ideal line, and again there was some lag in the stories completed. And at the end, wherever you are showing, like it's like they are on track to complete the story in this sprint.
Wonderful. Thanks, Satish. So what do you think? We also need to identify that why this is going down. See, there will be some variation, right? Around plus or minus 10%. And that should be fine because somebody might go in emergency leave, right? They are working on some pressing issue and then there is no solution. That's why it is going up, but they got some solution and then if the requirement, initially it was not moving, might be the requirements were not clear and the clarity achieved, and they are able to do this one. Okay, good. Does anybody think that this is not enough to tell that the sprint goals will be achieved?
Can I ask one question? So if the red line is going below the ideal one, it means the team is underperforming. And if it is going above the green line, is it team is performing or it's the reverse one?
No, if see, this is the ideal line. They should be able to complete by this time, this period, this point, right? If they go by this period, right, they will be able to achieve faster. So might be if it is going down, that means the team estimated on a higher side. They didn't, they were able to do it, but they thought, oh, you might not be able to do it. And then they put it on a higher side. That's why it is going down. So when it is above the ideal line, that means it's at risk. Probably more time is required. They will have to work hard to get and then get to the ideal line and complete this one. Is that clear, Asma?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
clear. Yes.
Yeah. So my question is,
Just a question though.
yeah, Nutan.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to ask the red line. If you see, it is in zigzag manner, and I'm not sure whether it goes till the end of the x-axis. So there are chances that you might not reach the goal, and somewhere at the end, something might go haywire. You never know, and you might
Oh,
not
yeah.
reach the goal that you intend to.
Yes, that's always the case.
But was that the particular reason that you have not included that red line further? I was just wondering why that red line is only till a particular point and not going down.
Yeah, so we are here right now. We are on the second last day of the sprint. So this shows that we are at the second last day of the sprint. So this chart also will tell me, right, that what day the team is right now in their sprint. So they have completed around 80-90% of the sprint time, and just 10% or 15% is remaining. That is also telling me. So if this red line is at here, right, I will say that, okay, they are not going to achieve because this one is not possible.
So Ragul, like as per this chart, right, it shows as of today, I mean the trend line. So team is on target, they will be able to complete.
Yes.
But we are not sure on tomorrow what will happen, or tomorrow or
But that
next
is
week
always there. So
yeah.
we have to consider the most likely scenario, that mostly, if you look at this trend as well, right, they are working hard and making sure that they will be able to achieve. Yeah, but
Yeah.
exception scenarios, 10%, those certainly would be there. If we just talk the generic, then they should be able to do it, right? However, that's the biggest problem with looking at the chart in isolation and not talking to team and other stuff. See, this is hours remaining. Imagine I have 50 tasks, each, I'm just hypothetical scenario, but can be practical as well. I'm just putting the numbers differently. All 50 tasks, each task having 30 minutes remaining. So none of the story is getting completed. Now, if you look at this one, so if this is hours remaining, right, for the subtask, and this is the story points remaining. So story points obviously will not go it will go in a step manner. But if I look at this chart, it says that story points remaining, nothing is closed. We are on the second last day of the sprint. It is possible that these charts, both the charts are of the same team. Now, this is very rare scenario, but sometimes if management is just looking at the hours remaining, or they are not looking at working software, that means some stories getting completed in sprints early, or not in doing interactions with the team, then they might not know that what is the actual scenario. Now, will anybody be able to tell me or guess, just as a guessing game, that why this one, how it can be possible? This doesn't look, this doesn't match actually.
Actually, Rakul, my understanding is like here, I think that team doesn't focus on completing the stories. So
Yeah,
they just
wonderful.
focused on the hours. So ideally, this should not be the case. Maybe I think this is what you said in the first, if I am correct. So you will explain about the difference between hours
Very
and
good interpretation. I think the team are burning hours. They are saying that, okay, we have some output. But if you look at, see, nowadays you might be hearing output versus outcome, right? This is the output. You are having some output, the team is progressing, they are burning hours and other stuff. But what is the outcome? None of the stories getting closed. Why none of the stories are getting closed? maybe they are having work in progress for all the stories. They said, okay, we are 90% done for 100% of stories. We are, see this picture, right? We are almost done for all the stories. But actually, we are still at the top. Nothing is getting completed. So another reason, anybody would like to do another guessing or anything, would like to
Yes.
yeah.
Because we consider story point to be burned only when all the subtasks of it is getting over. So there could be a situation where the subtasks, 90% of the subtasks were done and just one was left, because of which it is showing this line.
Yeah, very true. Another reason could be there are defects for each of the story. And rather than fixing the defects, the team is working on completing other stories. Or if there are defects for each of the stories, multiple defects, they are fixing one defect of each and then moving. They are not targeting on a, like they are not focusing on finishing. If there are 3 stories and 3 stories, say all stories have defects, some of the stories are uh, not yet given to testing or not yet deployed and other stuff. So that one reason might be there are some small task which is remaining. Another one is there could be defects and other stuff. That is the why they are not able to make any progress. Or maybe this one is all pending on the testing. But obviously this won't look that good in that case. But yeah, there are some blockers from the testing as well. So again, the one chart doesn't give me full picture. I added another chart, but still it's not giving me 100 full picture or clear picture. I still will need to go and check and talk to people that what is happening. And I shouldn't be waiting here. I see if this is the trend, if I am following daily, probably mid sprint, I will come to know why nothing is being moved. There's something wrong. Does the team need help? There are some impediments, we should be solving them and other stuff. That could be the case, right? Good. Let's look at this one. So hours remaining, this is ideal and this is actual. We have to now, we will keep one assumption that yeah, the story points, whenever we say the hours remaining are going down, even the story points are, stories are also getting close. So we keep that one aside. Okay, this is the ideal and the same is the actual. How do you read this one?
I mean, they are on track. I mean, they are committed what are the story points and they are going as per the initial commitment.
Okay. Very
Ideal or
positively,
perfect.
It shows,
very,
it
very,
shows
Error, it
that
is not
the
possible.
art,
yeah, but
This
Hemant
seems to
put
be
it very
impractical.
positively. Yeah? I like that one.
It
Very
is a bluff.
positively.
it does not give you the clear picture.
This seems to be impractical
Story
to
points are
see
not
the
tracked.
ideal and actual.
Yeah, the ideal actual seems impractical. Very true. Very true. So either this one is something like I want to show it to client, and then I will say, okay, I will do the data entry and other stuff, and then I show it and other stuff. So now let's look at, I got it. This is very rarely will happen because for human beings, we cannot have 1 + 1 = 2. For maths, it will work, but human beings not work. So probably this one is not possible. But if this is happening, right? Then I tell you, I read somewhere in one of the webinar I was attending. The team has everything very crystal clear, and probably this team should not be following Scrum because the requirements and everything is crystal clear. That there is no doubt, there is no technology challenges, no people challenges, everything, the buffer is there or whatever, or additional buffers are there, right? They have too much of buffer, so they are not worried about this one. The love for unknown, see, the Scrum shouldn't be implemented if everything is crystal clear. You will be spending more time in events, right? If everything is clear, then probably go for waterfall way of working. This is not required. When the vision is there, but how do we achieve our vision is not clear. Requirements are evolving. The feedback has a very high value, and based on the feedback, many things can change. If that is the case, you use Scrum. So there is unknown. So in this case, probably there is no unknowns. The love for unknown is not there. So from positive side, if we look at it, yeah, if this is real, then they are using Scrum unwisely. Do you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I think I agree with Rahul and Satya and others, who's Nutan and others said that this might be, cannot be a reality. Even if it is a reality, the Scrum Master will say, no, it doesn't look good. I will change something. It should go up or down. So they will change it. Okay. What about this one?
So this is beyond the expectation. I mean, in the sense, it's not the actual, it's getting delayed.
Yeah. So probably, so see, this is what we can read the chart, right? Now, what do you interpret from this one?
So it shows that team was not clear before taking up the task, and during the task, they identified that okay, I need to do something extra. So it was that's why it was taking more time for them to complete the particular task, the scope of work. So they were not
Yeah,
clear.
Satya, wonderful. Awesome. That could be one of the reason. Yeah. What else?
Or there can
Even
be
the solutioning part of it might have
Over
gone.
confidence.
Yeah. Asma, you were saying something?
there
Solutioning
can
part
be
is
a
not clear.
scope creep also, like some requirements may be added in between of the sprints, and that's why the effort is taking more, team is taking more time to complete the work.
Yeah. So normally if we look at the hours remaining, right, there will be some spike, but yeah, possibility, but normally it will show up here. It will go up and then will start going down. If they are just have added something, they have not removed, then it will go up and then will go down. Okay. What else it represents?
Might be blockers for any dependencies not able to resolve on time.
Yeah. If you see this one is, they are moving, but at a very slow pace, right? So maybe some of the team members are stuck up with something and then that is not moving. So
Maybe
see, if I'm doing it right now, but if you are a stakeholders or you are a scrum master handling multiple teams, when you look at this data, if the gap is widening, right, something is blocked or something else is happening. So need to check with them what is happening, where they are blocked and other stuff. Somebody else also was saying something.
I was trying to tell maybe they underestimated initially. That could be one of the reasons.
Yes, they underestimated what they can pick up. Very good. I think the management is, maybe the management is pushing them. Now, team says, okay, we can complete 25. He says, no, you should do 35. And then team is working. They are going at a rate of 25 story points per sprint. But the commitment, which was by whatever management said that you should take 35. And then because they are not able to meet. So now, are you getting that reading the chart, we say, okay, they won't be able to complete this one. But then we have to figure it out. Some of the members are not available. They are going on emergency leave or pulled out of the project, pulled out of this team. That's why they are not able to complete. So there are so many possibilities on this one. Reading the chart and reading between the line. This is a very interesting topic if you learn. Okay, next one.
I
So
think this is
initially there was a lag. I mean, it was not performed well, but as the sprints moving
Okay.
ahead, they are coming on track.
Yeah, looking at the data, it says reading the stuff, we said they will be able to complete. They had a hiccup, but they will be complete. But what it tells, how do we interpret? How do we get some insights from this one?
Might be scope of work changed, and so suddenly they align with the actual scope of work, and most likely now they will be completing as per the target.
Yeah, Pushkar,
Or maybe there were too many dependencies, or sorry, the open items were there, or the clarifications were pending. That's why the team was not able to do it. But maybe those all got clarified on a same, like those were interrelated, and team got the clarification, so they could close multiple of items on the same day. So that's why there it came down suddenly.
Wonderful, Satya. Yeah? You're coming up. Very good. All valid scenarios, but that is how we are getting the insights from this chart, right? One of the reason could be the team was doing poorly on this one, and then they said, okay, we are moving one story or two story out of scope for this sprint, and then they are moving fine. So all valid one, whatever all you have said is very valid one. Okay, probably the last one, I think then we will see how much time we have for Q&A.
Okay, I think this is the team was on track. Maybe after that, there may be some stories they took. Maybe it's due to some dependency or something. It took time, and which got solved, and they are actually moving towards the ideal scenario.
Okay.
One of the reason I could see that seeing the past behavior, team was doing good. They were able to close the items on a constant basis. Nothing was in there, like they were not keeping open. But might be people went on some ad hoc leaves and all, which impacted the graph, and then it went on a steady mode in that way, and suddenly then started dropping up.
Okay. Yeah.
I guess one of the reasons could be the team, they have not updated the board.
Yeah.
For a couple of days.
That is possible, yeah.
Yeah, that could be one of the reasons.
Yeah, so we really have to figure it out. They were doing it very regularly and suddenly, but yeah, those are the
or some risks. Maybe they became issues suddenly. Risks.
Yeah, there are some risks which has materialized. So one thing,
and the mitigation was in place later, and that's why it's coming down again.
Yeah. So we have to focus as well that whether the graph is going down at a slower pace, faster pace like this, or not moving at all. This is something like is not moving at all, right? Maybe so everybody's work is impacted. Something very, yeah, Pramod?
Yeah, one of the case is like maybe out of 5 stories, there is 2 stories which was not studied well or estimated well, and during the course of the second week they have identified many impacts which was not studied well during the refinement meeting, and they need to do some more analysis which took more time to get it completed.
Yeah, could be. So see this, if we just talk about what Pramod said, that when you read the chart, it tells me when it will be done, whether it will be done, there are risks, some help is required, but even you can also identify that, okay, the sprint planning or backlog refinement, whether that was done well or not, we have to focus there as well, right? So that is in totality, we have to look for many aspects. I think this one is very clearly, anybody would like to talk about, this is the unit now is story points. So story points always will go in a step, right? It cannot have ideal like this. This cannot be possible unless we have all one story pointers. So what are the couple of observations on this one?
I think the team is on track and they would be able to complete it by the last day of the sprint.
No, the last day is done actually. They were not able to complete few story points. That's fine. But they almost completed. But it shows that their team almost completed everything, 95%. But the way the story points are completed, it also tells us...
Right, team was keeping the stories opened and closing them all of a sudden. Like they were keeping open even though work was done, might be, but they were still not updated in the Jira system. That's why it is showing like this.
So here I just want to highlight that this one is not just one story. That can be multiple stories in this vertical line. Same here as well. There can be multiple stories. They are closing all at the same time. Right? That is the only thing. Then it will be more meaningful. I will share.
Right.
Yeah,
the testing is pending, and the stories are getting closed.
Yes, they are doing a waterfall in the Scrum, in the sprint. They are waiting till the last moment and then give it everything to testing and then say, okay, now you close all this one. Or there are some defects. There are some defects which are not closed, they are kept open, and then that's why this one is happening. And another reason, even if you look at it when you go into detail, you might interpret that, okay, the stories are very big size stories. That's why almost all stories are delivered at the end, because development also will need time, and they will complete something here only, and then they will give it everything to them, and then they will keep it. And then there might be something remain open or more remain open. Why? Because some of the defects are not closed, so it will remain open. That could be one of the reasons. With that, I'm ending. I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me summarize this one. The burn down chart gives answers to when this will be done and how we are doing over time. But reading the chart and interpreting the chart is completely different. And we always have to remember individuals and interactions will take precedence over processes and tools and working software. This is a working software over comprehensive documentation, or working software is the primary measure of progress. That's what we will have to focus on. So burn down chart, just don't focus on the task hours burn down, but look at the story points burn down as well. Try to do a release burn down as well. You will get much more meaningful insights on this one. Hope you find this one useful. We can take questions. We have 3 minutes, 2 minutes, I think.
Yeah. Hi, Rahul. I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, as per my understanding, we use burn down and burn up when we are working on scrums, right? But what are the matrices we should look when we are working with a team who is using Kanban board? Like where the work nature is that they receive the work in terms of cards on random basis.
Yeah, so good, Mintu, that you reminded. We are right now focusing on the burn down chart, right? The Kanban, we should be focusing on cumulative flow diagram. And then I think I will ask Vijay as well, or I can do another session on how do you interpret the cumulative flow diagram. That also will give, that is also looking at the chart, and interpreting chart is completely different.
So
probably we will, certainly, thanks Mintu, I will talk to Vijay as well to set up something on that line, Kanban.